I am Maria Garcia de Fleury. Holy Tuesday was a day filled with intense teaching and confrontation in the temple. Jesus, using parables and direct answers, challenged the religious leaders' understanding of his identity and authority. He exposed their hypocrisy and emphasized the importance of genuine faith and obedience to God. Jesus knew full well that the triumphant entry into Jerusalem would be one of his last entries into the city. That while his miracles and powers were reaching a great mass of influence because he had just resurrected Lazarus and was at the apparent peak of his earthly ministry, he knew what was at stake. He knew that the religious leaders were angry because the people recognized him as a spiritual authority, and that devastating betrayal, torture, agony, and pain were coming. He knew it all, and what did he choose to do in those last days before his crucifixion? Well, he continued doing what he'd always did. He taught. He loved. He asked and answered questions. He intentionally selected his words to convey transcendental and important messages. He taught about the parable of the two sons, the parable of the tenants, and the parable of the wedding feast. Regarding the payment of taxes to Rome, he said, "Give to Caesar the things that are Caesar, and to God the things that are God's." He spoke with the Sadducees about the resurrection and with the Pharisees about the great commandment of love. He warned the Jewish leaders about the consequences of their evil deeds, telling them, "You're like whitewashed tombs, beautiful on the outside, but filled inside with dead bones and all kinds of impurities. On the outside, you appear as righteous, but inside, their hearts are full of hypocrisy and wickedness. How will they escape the judgment of hell?" He told a story about four servants whose master gave each of them talents and the responsibility to be good stewards. Then Jesus left the city and went with his disciples to the Mount of Olives. There, Jesus gave them the Olivet Discourse, speaking about the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem, both his body and the physical temple. He spoke of the end of times, including his second coming and the judgment of the final days. He said that no one knows the day or hour of his return and second coming, and he backed up his teachings with the parable of the 10 virgins, 5 of whom carried extra oil for their lamps and were therefore ready when the bridegroom arrived. That Tuesday was also the day Judas Iscariot negotiated with the Sanhedrin, the rabbinical court of ancient Israel, to betray Jesus. Holy Tuesday teaches that Jesus is faithful to the task of shepherding the people God entrusted to him, even in the most extreme circumstances when they threatened to end his life. Knowing his days were limited, he decided to continue guiding hearts once again toward the love and generosity of the Father, working with enthusiasm and awaiting the final victory over every expression of darkness. He knew how to put his Father's words and plans before any human temptation in the face of his imminent death. Friends, let us strive to love God with all our hearts, soul, and mind, and to love our neighbor as ourselves, recognizing these as the most important commandments that are from God, and with God we always win.